All right.
All right.
Welcome back to Buddy Buddy. I'm here today with my good friend Wingo, or David Wingo. We just call him by his last name. Uh, I want to start off by saying anyone that's listening to this, I would ask a favor to leave a review. I'm trying to get this out to as many people as possible for the sole challenge of challenging people to build their community. So if you're listening to this, leave a review. It'd be much appreciated. Wingo, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So our friendship starts back at the good old NGU, as it's kind of become a recurring theme on some of the people on this podcast because we've had some of our buddies on here already.
We had a squad back in the day.
Back in the day, the Geese House.
Dude, best year of my life. Never forget.
Would you really consider that the best year of your life?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, go ahead.
No, continue. What was so good about that year?
Honestly, just the growth that I experienced and I witnessed in everyone else was incredible. Austin, a previous guest on here, describes it as almost like this incubator where we were all just growing so fast together and learning from each other, and it was just awesome. Like we were all 18, 19, 20 in some like pretty formative years, like out on our own. And I just learned a lot about myself. I completely fresh set of friends, everyone very different than me. So it was cool just to like look at different worldviews, morals, like people had different morals, they would clash, we would argue, just like expanding my thought about certain things. It was really cool. Yeah. So definitely the best year. It was also just so fun. Like, I mean, dude, playing Frisbee that year and living with all the dudes we played Frisbee with, traveling to tournaments, bro, I will never forget that.
Bro,
it's so fun.
Those are some of the best memories from that season of life is traveling and playing tournaments.
Dude.
Like, I remember on the way to Charleston, I was the one that brought up the idea of us all getting matching tattoos.
I remember that.
We spent so much time together.
Conversation.
We had spent so much time together that I was like, why don't we all just get matching tattoos? And at the time, me and you hadn't, show it off. At the time, me and you hadn't even had one yet.
Oh, yeah.
Austin and Caleb
were tatted up.
Yeah, they were already tatted. Like, had sleeves and everything else. And Austin had that big old bird piece on his side. And we were newbies.
Yeah, I literally had never even thought I was going to get a tattoo. And then you brought it up. I was like, okay. And then literally I just did it because I loved the dudes. Yeah. I loved y'all so much. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll do it. But then I got one and I was like, I need a lot more.
Yeah. So how many do you have now?
I only have 5. I've got a few bigger pieces I'm about to get after Frisbee season this summer.
Yeah.
That I'm excited about, but yeah.
I know you have Zeal and then the sword that we all have.
I got a bone arrow
on the inside, and I know you have a guitar.
My most recent one. This was because I have a friend who's like a very new tattoo artist, and it was like super cheap. I was like one of the first people besides himself he tattooed on. It's just a coffee cup. Oh. Very simple, but he did a good job.
Yeah.
So
that's cool that you trusted somebody that was just getting going.
You know. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't new, but it kind of felt that way when we got a tattoo to begin with because of Fred's setup.
Oh my gosh.
He'd been tattooing for years, but it just felt like I was going to somebody that was new because it was in his garage.
I mean, this dude, like, honestly, a hilarious dude, but didn't seem very serious about what he was doing in his garage. That was like not very nice. Lots of things everywhere, and I'm on this like I don't even know what kind of like table. It was like a broken table.
It's like a broken like sports medicine table from you see on like a sideline of a football game.
It's like duct tape like holding it together, and I'm on there just like I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, that was an experience for sure of going to see Fred.
Yeah, but that was great.
Yeah, the Geese House year was definitely amazing. A lot of fun memories from Frisbee to, like you said, a lot of debates and that were not mean like we weren't intending for it to be like we're gonna hash out like disagreements.
Right. It would just come up. We'd just be sitting there. I mean, dude, the amount of like times I would just sit there in the living room just like this and just listen to people talk about something and argue with each other and just learn from it was like once a week at least.
At least. Because we had, obviously, our boy Austin, and
Oh my god, yeah.
we talked about it when I had him on here. Is like his pride was like so big whenever he like first started.
It was
like, and
it
so
was.
it was like past tense. He's completely different man. We talked about it when he was on here, and so if he got going about something, he couldn't be wrong.
Oh no.
And so he would let things go probably longer than they should at times because he had to get his point across, which that's how we all are.
To his credit, he was often right.
He was. He's a very wise man.
But yeah, it was a good time though. It was a really good time. I mean, bro, what a year, because I was a freshman that year and I literally didn't know anyone in North Greenville, and I met all these dudes from playing Frisbee, and you were one of the first people I met. And there was like we were the Ninja Geese, you know. So anyone listening that's confused.
Jade Bridges has listened to a couple episodes. He's already messaged me, so he some people know about the Ninja Geese.
That's so funny. But yeah, it was the name of our club Frisbee team, and I started playing Frisbee with these guys. They all lived together, so I just started hanging out at the house because I didn't know anyone else. And literally, I would people would go out of town for like the weekend, and I would just sleep in various beds that were empty. Like I slept in your bed a decent amount while you were gone. It was so funny. And then I ended up moving in there like a month or two later.
Yep.
So when Leister got kicked out, he was living there for free. So they found out.
They found out and said, and then he moved in with old Logan.
Oh my gosh. I hope Logan is listening to this. What a year.
What a year.
I really miss living with Logan.
I remember, what was the name of the cookie that y'all let sit on the floor for weeks on end?
It was for like an entire semester. It was I walked in the room one day and there was a cookie on the floor, like from the cafeteria. And I was like, bro, what is this cookie doing here? Why did you leave this cookie? And he's like, I don't know, man. Not mine. And I mean, he was just like facing his PC, like gaming, just like, I don't know. Not me. I'm like, bro, it's not me. It had to have been somebody.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm not picking it up. So it stayed there for a few days, and I was like, dude, I think we should name this cookie. He's like, let's call it Roland.
That was what it was.
Because it rolled on in here.
I guess it rolled in here. Because neither one of y'all brought it in there.
And it stayed there for many months. And there were various. No one ever touched him. That was like the big thing, is
couldn't touch.
No one touched Roland, and no one ever did. No one ever will. And so there were various attempts to get me to touch Roland. One of them was like getting a lot of other cookies from the calf and setting them all around him.
So you couldn't.
Couldn't figure out which one he was, but I knew.
But you knew which one was Roland.
I knew exactly which one he was. But at the end of the semester, I got a paper towel and did the little shimmy to get him on the paper towel.
So you can never actually touch him.
So literally not a single person ever touched him.
That's crazy. I wasn't planning on bringing that up. Once we started talking about Logan, I was like, wait, there was a cookie that literally lived there rent free.
That was in the very depths of my memory. There's a lot of things that I just forgot.
But I was not planning on bringing that up. It just brought back
a hilarious thing that I just forgot happened. It was so stupid.
A lot of good memories like that from North Greenville.
Yeah, a lot of really good ones, like I was talking about. But man, so many just like fun, goofy. It was just the most fun. Like I miss it.
Yeah, for sure. I remember in that year, it was after you moved in. I surprised you and I took you to see King's Kaleidoscope for the first time.
Yes, dude. I was having a bit of I was struggling a bit, just like adjusting into college and everything, and I was a little stressed. And Andrew, like we weren't even like super close or anything. One of my favorite bands, King's Kaleidoscope. I'd never seen them live. He bought two of us tickets to go see him, and it was awesome.
Such a cool
experience.
Yep. And then you returned the favor afterwards.
Yeah. A couple years later, they came back and we went to see him again.
Yeah. Who did we go see him with in Atlanta? We went with somebody else, but I don't remember.
It was my friend Blake and this random guy, Phil.
Oh.
Who I used to see all the time at Bridge too after the fact. Yeah. It was very random. Cool guys. It was fun. I went a third time. with Blake and Phil because they just had like an extra ticket.
Yeah, for sure.
And a couple of my students from my small group were there.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. But they're coming back around in October, and I'm going to take they're in high school now. Wow, small group of students to go see them.
Yeah,
so
that'd be
it'll
awesome.
be fun.
They always put on a good show.
So good, dude.
That was
so good.
Some good memories.
New album this Friday. I'm excited.
I don't think I knew about that, so I definitely have to check it out. I haven't been listening to them a ton as of recent, but
who you been listening to recently?
I mentioned it on the last podcast, but I listened to a lot of Quinn 92 recently.
Mm-hmm. Dude, we were all on Quinn 92 back at NGU.
Well, I guess I knew some songs from Quinn back then, but I didn't recognize the name, and so like pretty much while I've been in Cornhole, like he's just been on heavy rotation. Now I actually know who he is. Back then I recognized some songs, but I didn't really know who he was. You're the bigger music guy than me. I just would always listen to whatever people put on. I never put my 2 cents in. I didn't really care because I like listening to whatever.
Right.
But you've been the music guy. You're like, you know this person? I'm like, no, don't.
Dude, I'm not the music guy anymore. I feel like I listened to so much music for a while and then found the people I like. And now the people I like come out with enough new music for me to never have to
expand.
Yeah, which I do occasionally, but
yeah, you're not really
I'll always go back to Wolfpack. I'll always go back to Hippocampus, King's Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
So
like back in the college days, it was kind of like you wanted to be the trendy person that said like, I put you on. I found this group before anybody else did, before they blew up. And that was like the cool thing to do. Like if you put somebody on and they never who you were, like, it was like a cool feeling. Like it's like a little badge of honor.
It was a flex. If you were like play something in the car and somebody's like, dang, who is this?
Yep. And they save it, you're like, yes.
Yeah, it's a flex for sure.
Yeah, but I'm kind of like you now. I'm kind of just stuck in
I don't even care anymore, bro.
Yeah, I'm just kind of just listening to the same people.
Yeah,
like over and over again.
But
yeah, so we kind of mentioned it before we hopped on here, but now I knew because we hadn't really sat down together or hung out together probably since the last time we played golf. Like us when your brother came down and we played. That might be the last time I've seen you. Was when we did that 2v3 with Mac.
Yeah, that was a hot minute ago.
It was getting close to a year. It was like the fall of last year.
Yeah.
And so at that time you were working for Bridge City, but now you're not doing that anymore. So what is like your current job situation looking like? So
I ended up leaving Bridge City to go to another coffee shop, and it was originally a temporary thing. It's out in Anderson. I don't live in Anderson. I live in Greenville. So it's a bit of a commute. But I loved working there. But it was like, I'm just doing a barista thing. I don't want to be a barista anymore, but I'd like to further my career in coffee.
Yeah.
My dream is to open up my own roastery. So the owner knows this. But he's like, hey man, you could start a roastery here and we'll pay you to figure out how to do it. And I was like,
that sounds like a dream come true.
Yeah, it's a super cool opportunity. I got to do some stuff I don't like. Like I still have to barista to make money.
Yeah.
But I have to do something anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. I'll start roasting this week.
Oh.
So I'll be like training with a friend of mine who we're going to use their coffee or his coffee. And he'll be like walking me through roasting and teaching me. We bought a roaster, just looking for a space. So I guess my job title is coffee roaster now.
Yeah.
Or at least it will be.
It will be soon, hopefully.
So I'm really excited about that. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know very little about roasting. I work as a barista at the moment, but I've not really been hands-on with the whole roasting side of things. We have our own roastery, like we roast our own beans. We have our own sister company, but I'm not super involved in that.
Right.
Do you have like what am I trying to ask? Are you planning on having blends, or is it supposed to be like more single origin based?
Yeah. So, honestly, we'll see what happens. As we grow, I'd love to just continue offering more coffees. So like, we'll just get single origin coffees in, and then depending on like if somebody wants a custom blend, we would do it.
Yeah.
We'd probably have like a house blend And then rotating single origins. Because with a blend, you can like replace coffees and they'll taste similar.
Yeah.
So it'll be a mix. Ideally, like we're only starting off with a few coffees, but we'll like as we grow, hopefully. And I mean, I have to figure out all these systems for like I'm ordering, 1,000 pounds of this green coffee. Like, how do I organize? Like, you know what I mean? I have to figure out all these systems and everything. So it'll be a slow process, but we'll have just about everything. I'm excited to learn about it because I feel like I know. Like I've spent a lot of time training baristas. Like I've spent years being a barista in the specialty coffee industry, and I just feel like I know a lot about that end of things. I don't know almost anything about roasting and sourcing and green coffee. So I'm excited to learn all about that and really be a more well-rounded coffee connoisseur. Hopefully it just becomes my career. That's what I'm trying to do. So being well-rounded would be nice.
So the coffee shop that you work for now is called?
It's called The Common House.
The Common House.
Downtown Anderson.
Downtown Anderson.
It's kind of like it's a cool place. It's like a cafe, eatery, and restaurant and cocktail bar. It's very interesting. During the day, it's kind of like classic coffee shop that does brunch. During the evenings, they do beer, wine, cocktails, dinner, like full-scale dinner. It was a restaurant. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
are they going to plan on like using their name as part of the roastery, or are you going to have like kind of be separate?
Yeah. So the roastery, we actually made a different LLC.
Okay.
So there's the Common House, and then there's Commoner Coffee Roasting.
Commoner Coffee Roasting.
So I guess I'm the only employee on that LLC right now.
That's crazy.
But I mean, the owner, Adam, is a super good guy. And honestly, this is kind of crazy. He just like believes in me so much. He does like a lot of real estate stuff. He's like, yeah, man, I just sold a property. Like, I'm just going to throw 60 grand at this thing. He's like, well, let's buy a roaster, which is like 35 grand. He's like, I'm throwing 60 grand at this to like get it started up and to pay to pay you for a little bit and see what happens. And I'm like,
whoa,
all right.
I
did not have $60,000 to throw out like that into a project.
That's super cool how much he believes in you in this dream that you have.
It feels really good, honestly. Yeah. Like it feels like I've been working for a long time to like learn and figure out and find where I'm valuable, and I haven't really felt like I was valuable until now, which is a good feeling for a place you work at. So
yeah. So this whole podcast was pretty much my public effort to build community, and a lot of my life has been changed and or affected by just random people that I've met. Has there ever been a stranger who might not be a stranger anymore? Has there ever been a stranger that you can now say has like effectively changed your life?
A stranger?
You don't have to be a stranger anymore, but at the time he was, or he or she.
I mean, tons of people.
Yeah.
You? Dude, I remember the day we met and you were a complete stranger.
Fair.
Gosh. I remember meeting all of my best friends and remember them being strangers. That's something I never think about, but it feels weird.
Yeah, at one point we had no clue.
Yeah. I mean, I remember meeting my boss, Adam. I was like, who is this guy? But
yeah, the one person in my head that like sticks out, I guess, of the past couple years of my life is my friend Dylan, who, sorry, Dylan, your episode's still not up because we've had technical issues, but
2 tries so far.
2 tries so far. But I was not looking for a new friend really, and or somebody that would directly change my life to the extent that he did. But I was just in played against sports. Like we talked about how I have like a home gym or whatever. I was looking at dumbbells, just like I might add some more weight to the gym. Who knows? But I was getting guys to go play basketball at my dad's church, and I was like, I'm really struggling to get people over here, or to come play basketball. Like it was kind of during COVID, so people were kind of eerie about coming to come play, and people were just busy. And I was like, I really want to play tonight, and so I'm going to make a friend today. I was not planning on talking to this dude. I had no clue who he was. He was just working. And I was like, hey, bro, like, you want to come play basketball? And he's like, nah. And he's like,
I would probably say no if I'm being
I
honest.
mean, he was polite about it. He's like, no thanks. Like, I'm good. And because him and a coworker were like, they were working a play against sports, and they were like dribbling a basketball, like, just like,
Yeah.
I was like, maybe. I was like, maybe he'll want to play. If not, oh well. At least introduce myself to somebody. But he returned the favor and invited me to come play cornhole. And he's like, I don't want to play basketball. Like, I have no desire, but I play these cornhole tournaments. You want to come play? And I went.
He asked you.
Yeah, he asked me.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And he went, or I went. He didn't show up. He forgot. Which he did forget, but whatever. And I won. And so I went back the next day to his work. I was like, bro, you ditched me and I won. But he didn't believe me, whatever. And that kind of like sparked our friendship. And then he was the one that introduced me to the whole professional cornhole scene. Like, I had no idea anything about competitive cornhole. I thought people just played it at church gatherings, backyard barbecues, like family stuff, like, or just like everybody has like a janky little cheap set they buy at Walmart that you just play at tailgates or whatever. I had no clue that how much money or how many people really cared about competitive cornhole. And so he took me to the World Championships in 2020 in Rock Hill, and just like, let's go watch the pros. Like, we'll play in like the lower level and just play a tournament, but we'll go and let's watch all the good people and just like be in awe of how good they are. And that's when I realized how big it actually was. Like, thousands of people from all over the country just to come throw beanbags at a board.
That's crazy.
Like, meeting people from California to New York to all over the place, Texas, and you're like, all these people came to Rock Hill, South Carolina to play this game. And it blew my mind, and it made me like really interested in it. And so without Dylan, a random stranger that I met at playing a sports because I was just trying to play basketball, it directly changed my life and took my life in a completely different direction.
Man, that is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's just crazy. I brought that up because like my whole goal for the podcast is people to build community. And a lot of people, like, just because they get stuck in their ways as an adult, not that it's a bad thing. Like, the people in your life are the people in your life, and you don't really branch out. You kind of just talk to the same people at church. You hang out with your same coworkers. You hang out with people that you live with or your family. But like, not many times are you like directly making an effort to say, I'm going to make a new friend, unless you get like a random new coworker and you get around them some, or new person starts visiting your church. But very few times you're like out in public just on your own time and you're like, I'm going to make a friend today. And that's just, like, it's just a challenge to people to say, like,
yeah, oh, for sure.
If you got the time and you're open to maybe meeting somebody that could change your life, like, just have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. I mean, that's a cool way to look at it. I think though, like, for me, I'm in a spot of like, and I'm very blessed to be on this spot of, I don't know if I can handle anymore.
Fair.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I have people I'm really close to, and we, try to spend time together. And then I've got like more people I work with or I like go to church with, and it's like, let's go out every once in a while. Let's go catch up. Let's go get coffee. And then like people I work with now, I mean, I got to my new job and immediately we're friends, and it's like, this is 12 new people.
Yeah.
It's like, let's all go climbing together. Let's start a Minecraft world. And it's like, oh, this is great. And, I'm always open to that. But sometimes I feel like I'm at capacity. Like, I don't know if I can handle any more friends. And that sounds like such a dumb thing to say.
No, it's not a dumb thing to say.
Because again, like I'm so blessed to have all these people in my life, and I have amazing people in my life.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
So, but it is also a cool way to look at it of like, what's one more?
Yeah, what's one more?
What's one more stranger that I could meet that become friends with?
I guess from your perspective, you're more on the side now where you're in a good season where you're surrounded. Like, you got a solid group of people around you. And now it's more on the opposite end of making sure you don't overexert yourself trying to make time for everybody. Because like, it could very easily where you're trying to be a people pleaser and say like, they invited me, I can't say no. But really, in theory, you need rest and that you need that time alone.
Dude, that is literally the struggle for me.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 nights ago. I just moved in with a couple friends. Well, one of them I'm like decent friends with. We work together, or we did, and it's his brother. And I like both these guys. But like me and his brother aren't even really friends. Now we hang out sometimes at the house, but so I'm talking to them in the living room and we don't hang out all that much. So I'm like, okay, this is dope. This is a good time. And then some dudes from work text me and they're like, bro, we're starting a Minecraft world. Or we had just started it and they're like, we're about to get on. And I was like, all right, let's get on. And then I had to be like, oh, these guys are wanting to play Smash. And it's, video games, it's dumb. But like quality time with these guys, get online with these guys. Then Austin, my other friend, texts me that we normally play with. And he's like, bro, you trying to get on Rocket League? And this is like all video games. So it seems stupid. But like, I have all the like,
three different groups of people.
It stresses me out, bro. And then I had a friend coming to like stay with me. He's like, hey man, can I come stay the night?
On top of this,
on top same of night. This, while I'm like trying to figure out this mess that I've put myself in. And like it shouldn't be an issue. But it is a struggle for me. Like I feel like it's just so dumb. I feel like I'm almost disappointing people. I hate saying no.
Yeah.
So it's like it stresses me out just to be like, yeah, I'm going to go do this. And they'll be like, all right. That's like terrifying for me. So I do find myself on all of that really long story to say, like, I find myself on the end of I struggle to say no and I struggle to exist within my means of what I can give and like how much time I have.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely trying to learn that balance because I keep like I said, I started this job a few months ago, boom, 12 new friends. Like, so I just keep adding on more and it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love meeting people.
Yeah.
I just have to figure out that balance.
Yeah.
So,
and on top of it now, because we've talked about it a little bit before, we're both newly dating for the most part. And so adding a girlfriend in the mix of all of this, especially in your life, I guess mine's not as hectic. So, but adding a girlfriend and if somebody you care about, no, you really have to learn to say no,
dude.
Whether that's to her, if like you really need to reconnect with somebody or whatever, hang out with somebody because community with other men is huge, or saying no to the boys so that you can hang out with your woman,
right?
And so,
yeah. So it's a balance for sure, and I'm thankful to be in the spot I'm in.
Yeah.
But we're young, we're learning, we're growing, figuring things out.
Yeah, so. Figure it out day by day, and it's good to know that you have people around you because like at least you're not doing it alone. You're just finding that balance of like how much can I offer, and how much can I give to the people around me. So, another like thing I like or I want in this podcast is like I want people to feel like they can be honest and just talk because I know in my life I find it very easy to not let people in. Like people from one of the questions from this game that we're talking about earlier that we're not really strangers that I got asked when I played it the day was like, well, do you think that the way people perceive you is the same as how you perceive yourself? And I was like, I mean, I guess, and I hope people think think highly of me and the way I think about myself, but also I'm my biggest critic and I like get down on myself for things that I struggle with. Yeah. And so I want people to be able to be honest so that they can like truly understand what's going on. And so one of the questions that I asked that I stole from this game was like, when people ask you, how are you? Because it's like the most basic question that everybody asks, that when you meet some or see somebody in passing that you ain't seen in a while, or like just in public with strangers, like the easiest, like, hey, how are you? And like how often when people ask that question, do you feel like you answer it truthfully?
For me, well, just a little side note. This is really funny. When my freshman year, we were at cookout one time, and the classic answer is, "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" Somebody had asked you, "Dude, how are you?" And you were like, "I'm well," because it's like grammatically correct, I guess.
Yes. I got taught that in my education classes.
And so I was like, "Why did you say that?" And you're like, well, it's grammatically correct, and I'm trying to make myself say I'm well.
I completely forgot about this.
And so now, like to this day, It's not like always, but I'd
But-
say like 80% of the time,
Mhm.
because people at the coffee shop, you know, come in and be like, I'll be like, hey, how are you today? And they'll be like, I'm good. How are you? And I'm like,
I'm doing well.
I'm doing well. I'd say
funny.
80% of the time, that's my answer is,
Yeah.
I'm doing well. The
Yeah.
other 20% is probably like, I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I definitely still say that. Like my education professor ingrained that in our head because we wanted us to look professional and more grammatically correct for when we go on like interviews and stuff.
Mhm.
They didn't want us to seem like unsophisticated. And so it's like, you should say you're well. And I was like, okay. But
Yeah.
going back to like that question, like how often you answer truthfully, I feel
Yeah.
like most times I'll lie. Like,
Oh, yeah. Well,
because you don't
I'm
want
never doing well.
Yeah, like-
how often am I doing well?
never.
Never really.
But I feel like I find myself like I'll say it in a way where it's like they can tell something's up if I'm not actually well. Like
Yeah.
I'm well.
I'm all right.
Yeah. And they're like,
I'm doing okay.
and if they want to ask me about what is going on, okay, we can talk about it. Especially if it's a friend. If it's a stranger, I'm more than likely just going to lie because I'm not really trying to talk about my problems with
Mhm.
somebody I don't really know. But
I'd say though, like my biggest. So I think about that question of, hey, how are you doing?
Mhm.
And it's because it's, you know, the service industry. You and me both.
yeah.
We just have to say that,
Mm-hmm.
like as a very friendly greeting, and it's
Mhm.
like, I know that this person is probably not doing good, but I know that they're going to, and it's honestly dumb.
Yes.
But it's like you just have to do it in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because if I know the person, I'll tell them. And dude, 99% of the time, I'm actually doing good. Except for the fact that I'm really tired. So literally, like, if I know the person that comes in, I'll be like, how are you? They're like, I'm good. How are you? I am so tired.
Yep. Uh-huh.
But
I feel that.
I would say like, I mean, the obvious answer is like very rarely do I actually say how I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like if I was, you know, came into work and I was depressed that day,
Yeah.
I'm not going to, realistically, I'm not going to tell anyone,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually depressed. I'm like extremely sad right now. What can I get for you?
You want coffee? You want a latte?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not really going to do that. So I think that's like kind of like a bad question in a way because
Mhm.
it's like it's just become standard in basic
We're
conversation.
accustomed to, I'm good, how are you? That's in my
Yeah.
brain, that's what happens.
That the habit of comes in of saying like an answer even if it's not the correct answer. But that just shows too, like going back to like building community. Like, but once you break the barrier of like a stranger, it's like, all right, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Like if as long as I'm not just in a service industry or I'm just gonna serve you coffee and you can get out of like you're gonna leave the coffee shop and go about your life. If we actually know each other, I'll tell you. If you ask me how I'm doing, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right.
Like if I were to come to you now and say, Wingo, how are you? I would hope you'd tell me truthfully how you're doing, not
Right.
I'm well. And really you're sucking it up.
Yeah, and I would, because
Yeah.
like we're not strangers.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, I was really, really cold. I ate two Wendy's Frosties right before this.
You got the keychain to get the extra frosty.
Dude, it's so worth it.
The $5 biggie bag.
I'm a big Wendy's guy.
Yep.
I splurged on the biggie bag today. Normally I'm a 4 for $4.
Extra buck.
Extra buck. Get bacon on that burger, you know.
You already know. But another question that I saw that I thought was pretty cool to ask was it's more you can ask yourself, what do you feel like you are qualified to give advice to other people about?
Almost nothing.
I love that.
I think it depends on who the person is.
Mhm.
I think less about the topic of advice and more about how well do I know this person?
Mhm.
And this is a term Austin would use, but how much authority do I have to speak into their life?
Mm.
People, it's a common thing where I work because everyone was like friends before they worked there, to just be like, hey, I'm this girl was like, who I barely knew. It's like, this guy is like texting me, but he's like not really asking me out. Which like I kind of want him to, but also like I wanted like, should I say something?
Mhm.
And everyone was just immediately giving all this advice, and I just, I'm not going to say anything. And I was like, maybe do this. I don't know. That's probably what I would do. Just like really casual. And she's like, thanks everyone for your advice, but Wingo, your advice sucked. That's just a funny story, but like, I almost feel not qualified at all unless I know you. So that's probably the thing I would think about is like, well, if one of my small group students asks me for advice, I'm going to give it the best I can. And chances are I know more than they do. There's going to be someone that is far wiser than I.
Yeah.
But, I know more than they do at probably a lot of things. So I'm going to give advice on whatever it is if I know a little bit about it. But if you ask me, if you were like, dude, which cornhole bag should I buy? I'm going to be like,
heck if I know.
I'm not. Why are you even asking me that? So that's my answer to your question.
No, I like that. Definitely. I don't feel super qualified either. And kind of when you brought back up Austin, and I can also bring back Austin in the same answer to this question, because he talked about like having 3 levels of like community. It's like you have people where they're pouring into you. They're way more wise, way more mature, been through more life, that could speak down and to give advice to you. Then you have your peers, your people that are going through the same things in life where you can kind of give advice, or that you're going the same things. And then also like kind of going back to you leading your small group, the people that are just below you in your season of life. You're more mature than them, but you're not as mature as people above you that are pouring into your life. And so I would kind of say like when you're giving advice, like view it in that sense of where am I at in this ladder of community? Am I the one that's whatever you're coming to me about? Have I been through it? Do I have experience in this? And if I don't, I'm more than likely either not going to give you advice, or I'm going to point you in the direction of somebody that has the answers. But I feel obviously I can give people advice about the desired path of cornhole, of like people. I've had multiple people, and some people that just now got to just qualified this past weekend to be a pro for the next year. And like some of them like had come to me, or at least one guy in particular, his name's Angel, like he had come to me this past year, like asking for advice on different things. He picked my brain on like how I view strategy of the game, not just throwing blankly at a board. He picked my brain. Is
there strategy?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, there's got to be if there's pro, but like,
at the top level,
you just try to sink it every time.
I mean, the goal obviously is to sink it every time, but when it gets messy, it's like you got to honestly view the game more like chess than just blanket like I'm just slinging a bag at a hole. Right. You got to think like steps ahead. Like if they got a bag in front of the hole, you might want to block behind it so that they can't push it in, and then think about like what's the next shot. You're like thinking like 2 bags ahead.
Got you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. No worries. But I feel like I can give advice on that because I went from not playing ever to a pro in a year, and then I played 2 years professionally. I just made my retirement post today.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, that was a crazy season of life.
Yeah, I bet it was super fun though.
Oh,
I mean, to be professional in something, it's got to be so cool.
I mean, yeah, I can jokingly say that, or it's facts, but I can say I'm a professional athlete, or was, if you view cornhole as a sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a competitive game that's played for money. So, I mean, if you view that as a sport, whatever the definition of sport is.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. But, yeah, either way, it's tough. Like, I would say I have relatively low self-confidence. So if I find myself in times of this person wants advice, I'm gonna struggle. Like my go-to answer is gonna be like, well, you should ask this person.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Especially in the church setting where like students come to you about a deep theological question, you're like, ask the pastor. Pastor. Like I don't want to give you the wrong answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying like.
Yeah, there's nothing to say.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I would rather you say that than make up some BS. But
and lie that you know the answer. So
yeah, I definitely would say I have relatively low self-confidence though. So advice is not my strong suit.
Yeah,
wisdom not my strong suit. Encouraging people, supporting people, I'm good at that.
Yeah, you're definitely good at that. That's for sure. So. Now that I know a little bit more about your community and how you're overwhelmed, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like trying to find your balance. I was going to ask you, is there somebody in your life that you miss that you need to reconnect with? But you can answer that question if you need to. Or is there somebody in your life that you miss that you feel like might miss you that you could reach out to?
Oh, dude, definitely. I mean, you had been on my mind at least a few times recently. I have some high school buddies that, you know, I love, and I will always love them, and they'll always be my friends. It's just so hard to keep up, especially like they're married, like. You know, they've got their own thing going on. So do I. Yes, I'd want to hit them up at some point, but it's like, I don't know, it's tough. But there's definitely like I would say a lot of people that I think I would love to reconnect with. But it's tricky, you know. It's tricky because everyone is like they might miss me, and I for sure miss them. But like I might make it stressful for them if I'm like, dude, let's find a time to meet up. Yeah. It's like they might want to do that, but they might have a thousand other things going on that it's like, you know. So occasionally I will hit people up and be like, yo, we should catch up. But there are definitely people. There are definitely multiple people. And I would say you were definitely one of those for like a while.
Yeah. It's been close to a year, or at least over 6 months since we've seen each other.
Which is too long.
It is very long, a long time to go without seeing somebody that you care about and have like crazy memories with. It's like,
and matching tattoos with.
Yeah, matching tattoos with. Where the sole goal of it was keeping each other accountable, and we ain't seen each other in over 6 months.
Yeah, honestly.
But it happens. It's life. Like we're both pursuing certain things, and I don't know where my future goes when it comes to jobs, which is what I'm looking at right now. But like finding time for people is the most hard thing to do. It's like people that you care about, you want them to know that they mean a lot to you. You want them to know that you care about them, but you want to also do more than just like text them. Like, sometimes that's all you can do though. Sometimes like, bro, I don't have time. I'll just text you. I appreciate you. I'll give you a call later this week, whatever. I mean, I can talk for 5-10 minutes on the phone, but there's some people like it's really hard to make it work. Like you said, it's so stressful, or like
it is tough.
You call them and like, hey bro, let's get together, and they might have the most crazy week of their life, and the thought of adding something to it could be like the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, and they for sure miss you, but it's tough. And you know, like it's funny, Phil had just texted you. Yeah. Me and Phil were like calling each other once a week for a little bit, and we just kind of recently kind of fell off of that. And it's like, dude, this is an effort. Like I want to talk to Phil. I know Phil wants to talk to me. I want to hear about how he's doing. But like, you know, I get home from work on Monday, I'm out 7 to 5, and it's like I either forget or it's like, dang, I got to go cook dinner. Yep. And so it's like you have to implement practices of like, I am going to do this, or like it's a discipline, even though you want to do it. Yeah. And it will bring you joy. It's like you still have to do it. So.
Yeah. And so like the goal for the podcast was for me to rebuild my community, but I'm also like, I'm feeling like I'm going to get to a point when doing this where I'm going to reconnect with you, but like at some point there's an inner circle where we talked about it when we were at North Greenville. Like we kind of had our little inner circle with like me, you, Austin, and Caleb.
Yeah.
Like,
within the circle.
Within the house. Like it was like us four, we had like a little bit tighter of a bond than like us together than the rest of people. Not that we didn't care about those people and didn't love those people. It's just we were just a little more connected. And so like my goal with this is to rebuild my community, but I'm still going to have my people where I'm more than likely going to lean towards these 5-6 people and be more invested in their life. As much as I want to reconnect with everybody and be able to be present in everybody's lives, it's just not feasible. And so it's just like finding the people that really bring value to your life and like will benefit you in ways, and surround yourself with people that you want to be like.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's normal.
It's okay for people to kind of go separate ways and you to settle. It's just natural settling into these are the people I see on a daily basis. Yeah. And there is something to like, hey, let's reconnect and like let's make this work or whatever. But it is okay. And there's also something to like when we were in college, like the four of us something about the four of us, we just got along so well.
Mm-hmm.
And not that it was like, you know, I didn't enjoy hanging out with everyone else. It was like, for some reason, easier to click on a deeper level with y'all.
Yeah.
Um,
The way I view it in that regard is like, when you're around certain people, it's some people, it feels like work in a way, where to get to those intimate, deeper conversations, it takes like a hard effort to get them to open up. But then there's some people where it's like, we can be around each other, and just being around each other is peaceful, it's calming, and then it like brings up this vulnerability where it's like, I'm just already comfortable around these three dudes.
Yeah,
like,
it's just very natural.
It's just natural, and conversations just flow.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's how it was with us.
And we were blessed, because I've had countless conversations with dudes that, whether they're in high school or starting college, and they're like, man, I'm struggling to find that community that you have. It's like, I've got my boys over here who don't really follow Jesus or aren't looking to be better, but it's like, we get along, like we do dumb stuff. We do dumb stuff together, like which I think is important. And then it's like, and then I've got my church friends, and it's like, yeah, we have small group together, but like, am I going to go over to this dude's house and we're going to stay up all night drinking Mountain Dew and playing whatever? I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
And I think we've been blessed to where like we can do that.
Yeah.
And especially in college, like it was easy for us to do dumb stuff and then have that deep, vulnerable conversation. And I think, unfortunately for a lot of people, it's like they really have to find those people.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thank God for it all the time, that it just happens so naturally for us. So
college is like the perfect season of life for that, is to help find that community, because like going on what you're saying, like finding the balance of being able to do, like have those goofy moments, fun moments, whatever we want to do, and also just like the deep, vulnerable moments. You're not going to have both unless you can spend a mass amount of time with people.
Yeah.
Because if you can't spend a mass amount of time, it's hard to truly build that deep community where you get both sides, because you're going to be hang out with somebody like, all right, I'm hanging out with Wingo today. And then we could go and like, all right, we're going to go play golf. We're going to go play Frisbee, or we go do whatever, go get a tattoo, whatever. And it's like goofy fun. And we went a whole 2-3 hours and we never talked about anything serious.
Yeah.
But for us, since we lived together, it was like, we could go do all the fun stuff. And then as long as we're together long enough, the good conversations will happen. And so like,
and I think we reached that level so fast.
Yeah, just like, because of how much time we spent together.
I think there's people in my life that were there now. I feel like, honestly, though, this is how I like to measure it: is can you sit in a room with a person in dead silence and it'd be normal? Yeah. And that just takes time to get to with somebody. And so I'd say that's kind of like, here's my boys doing dumb stuff. You know, that's that side of it. It's like, I'm so comfortable with this person, of like spending time with them. And then there's a different comfort level of going deep and growing with someone. And to get both normally takes so much time. So we just had it at a really accelerated rate, which was great. Yeah. Again, super blessed. God knew what he was doing, because I wasn't going to go do that myself looking back. For sure. But I know dudes that younger than me that are in this same age that are like, dude, I can't find that. And it's like, it's going to take time, bro. It does take time. It's going to take a lot of time. And that's where the effort, and that's where the discipline, and that's like where the building comes in. Yeah. The building has to come from like yourself. Like we talked about it. We keep bringing up Austin, because Austin brought a lot of wisdom when he talked. For sure. But he's like, man, community really starts with yourself. Like, you have to start becoming the person that you want to be around. Like, if you want your community to be these deep conversations, these dudes that challenge each other to grow, or if you just want it to be on a more surface level, like, and you just want a bunch of dudes that like playing Frisbee, you got to start becoming who you want to be around. Like, you got to start being that person that people can talk to, start being the person that asks hard questions, and then get around people that have like-minded thoughts, so that the community forms easier. You're not going to find like deep community if you're just going to a Frisbee game
talking strategy with frisbee, and then you leave and don't see each other for a week.
Yeah.
You're not going to find deep community there unless you pull somebody aside and have a conversation, or go get dinner with them afterwards or something else. And so that's where that effort and discipline comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So.
For sure. I don't think so.
Well, if not, I'll edit it when you start going to water, and then we'll transition into.
At what point? At what point would you consider your community rebuilt? Like when would you call off the podcast and be like, I've done it?
I guess I get.
What's the point? What's your goal? What's the point you want to be at?
I guess the point I want to be at. That's such a good question. I guess it's more, I don't know the feeling yet, or don't have like a definite like hard answer where saying once I have this number of people. It's more a feeling inside of myself where I know without a doubt that whatever I go through in life, I have no reason to feel alone. There's somebody in my life that's been through what I'm going through, that's in the same season of life as me, that I can reach out to, and I have no reason to not. Mm-hmm. And so I guess it's not really necessarily a number of people, because like we've already talked about, like I have a general inner circle of people where I want these people in my life pouring into me regularly. But for the podcast, I want to do enough conversations where I have enough community with people who have gone through different things in life, where I have somebody to go to with any answer or any question that I might have.
Right.
And so whether that's somebody where it comes to my faith and my whatever I'm struggling with, to who knows, if I like maybe get married one day, talking about married life, being a dad one day, whatever season of life. I guess when I view community, I view like I want to not feel like I have to. There's nothing in my life that I should have to do alone, unless I just wanted to do it alone.
Yeah.
And so I guess for the podcast, it's going to eventually get to the point where I'm building my community in a way, but I more so want to have people's thoughts on community and their community. Not necessarily, they might not end up being in my inner circle, but at least the podcast might never end, or it could end whenever I feel like I'm assured to know that like I have no reason to feel alone anymore. Because that's what really started it all.
Bro, that's dope.
Yeah. That was a great question, because nobody asked me that really yet.
Well, dude, I'm super honored that you included me on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
I'm super honored to be your friend. I'm super honored that you want to rebuild community and you're including me in that. So.
Yes, for sure. When I like wrote out the list of like people that I wanted, it was like Caleb, Austin, Wingo. And I was like, when can I get all three of them over here? Because looking back on those years, I was like, that was my community. Mm-hmm. Like I had 3 people in my corner at all times. It's like, I mean, granted, we were living together for a lot of it, and then right after college, we were tight. But I was like, those were my people. And obviously, like Caleb stayed a part of my life for a long time because he lived here. Like I couldn't really. He wasn't going anywhere because he lived with me until he got married. And so, I appreciate you so much, and you've been a huge blessing in my life. I was scrolling through pictures the other day, and I found like the first picture we took together, which was on my birthday. It was us in those little shirts we bought that we wore to the first tournament we played in. It was like I had like a Deadpool shirt on.
Yeah, I remember posting on Instagram.
Yep.
Happy birthday to one Swayze man.
Is that the caption?
That guy. Yeah, that was the caption. Because me and my friend were trying to invent a word for cool, and we did Swayze, and we didn't know who Patrick Swayze was. Either way, that was the caption. I know what picture you're talking about.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I can't believe I got a picture with Andrew Guy.
The future cornhole player. The future professional cornhole player. I was
like, this guy is so cool, man. He's so good at Frisbee.
Yeah, you're better than me at Frisbee, though. Because I don't play anymore. I play at church league, and it's terrible.
Really?
Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but...
Well, I know some people that I think I know what league you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just because our church is trying to view it as a church league.
Right.
Community building.
For sure.
And then there's a group that play regularly in other leagues that just demolish everybody.
Yes. But as with most Frisbee leagues, they like to ruin it for everyone.
But Wingo, thank you for coming to my house and
Absolutely.
Just being a part of this for me.
Thank you.
And thank you for being part of. I love you too. Thank you for being part of my community.